Going fast is about grip and keeping up your momentum. The first half of that equation is going to be severely lacking today, unfortunately. But everyone's going to make the best of it as we get ready for qualifying in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. Joey, talk to us about this hilly little venue.
Yeah, it is a hilly little venue out here in Northern California. And this little venue is pretty much soaked with rain here this weekend. Let's take a look at the track map. We are located in Sonoma, just north of San Francisco. And turn number 1 kicks off the steep elevation climb, and it continues the uphill climb all the way up past turn number 3 into turn number 3A. Then we start going down the hill through turn number 4, through turn number 6, the carousel. One of the most iconic sections here. Turn number 7 at the far end of the drag strip has been proven to be very, very tricky in these wet conditions. We also have that turn 9 chicane and turn number 11 to wrap up the lap here.
I think drivers just starting their first flying lap. Remember, we have 2 groups in qualifying. This is Group A that we're starting off with. Definitely a few drivers to watch out in here. We are looking at Carl Stout, who has won the first 4 races so far, and was honestly looking very good in the practice sessions in the wet. He's very young, but there must be something in that Belgian blood that makes them good in the rain.
Very, very comfortable with the car, obviously, and you see how close to the edge of the track he gets there in the carousel, just trying to avoid any sort of rubber that's been built up onto that asphalt. You see a little bit of a wiggle, a kick at the tail coming out of the carousel section there, just trying to squeeze all that 515 plus horsepower. Oh, and he lost the front end going into the turn 7 brake zone, so he's going to have to recover. That was a little bit too far wide.
Yeah, so that is not going to be a quick lap for him, but we'll see who else is able to set a good one. Up in the Masters, Alain Scalzo is currently leading the championship with a first and a second back at Barber. So he is on quite a tear himself. This is down to the chicane as we watch that 243 take it right up to that muddy exit of the second apex. You got to be very careful. We've seen a lot of drivers just splash through that part.
Oh, and lots of water there in that, call it turn 10 area. This is at the close end of the racetrack, turn number 11. You got the hospitality section down there. Oh, and Chiacchetti going for a little bit of a ride. I believe this is going into the S's coming out of turn number 7, where you were 100% on the throttle and just a little bit of an off-road moment there for the 249.
Thankfully, that doesn't stop the session. He's able to get it going once again. We saw at least one car spin during practice coming out of there earlier, so yeah, not too great of a surprise that it's proving to be tricky. Carl Stout said despite his excursion is still our fastest right now, a 2:01.7 that we're seeing. Mark Bowden, coming off of his first win in this series, has managed to grab the fastest time so far of the Masters cars.
Not too surprised to see the 243 up at the top. Yes, he did lose the front end down there in turn number 7, but I think given that he was purple sector 1, purple sector 2, it was able to kind of recover that little bit of a mistake. And as I say that, he just repeated purple fastest sector out of anybody. And to kind of put it in perspective, Riley Giacomazzi is out there. He's currently P2 on the board, half a second faster in sector number 1.
I am glad, though, to see that Riley is kind of bouncing back after what was a difficult Barber 2 races. Again, going very wide there for Carl Stout, finding some of the bumps that we saw Greg Checky go over on the exit of turn 7. We have to remember that is the end of the drag strip, so I think those parts beyond the racing line kind of dip down, I suppose, as maybe a bit of a drainage area. And is this Scalzo trying to find his way back on course here?
Yes, that certainly looks like the orange and blue car that Alain Scalzo does drive, and that is up, I believe, at the turn 3A area. Turn number 3 is still climbing uphill. 3A is where you kind of get it over crest, and the car gets really light on its feet in that section.
So yeah, that was the 222. But he's back going. He's currently second in the Masters right now. Lockie Bloxham is back. He was a revelation last time out. Looked mighty fast. Carl Stout crosses the line, does not do anything impressive in the final sector, but still sets the fastest time down to a 2-minute flat. Will we get anybody under 2 minutes in this session?
I think Stout will go under 2 minutes. I do think that he's got the speed and the capability and the confidence, even in these tricky sections, to get it under 2 minutes. I was able to pull a replay of what happened to Chiachetti going out onto the S section there, Joe. Now, it's raining, it's slippery. What's even more slippery than the pavement? Those curves. When he drove over one of the apex curves going into the S's, and that provided a little bit of a loose moment in the car.
Ah, that's a good point. So Bloxham now up into third. We got another yellow flag somewhere out there. A lot of cars have been struggling here today, so not too surprised. Not seeing if anybody stopped quite yet. It looks like that's because we've gone back green, so they've got it going. This is Frank Vitiello on our screen. He'll cross the line, and he is still staying 8th in the Masters class for now. But Chris Hutter has jumped up into 5th in the Pro-Ams. That'll be 6th overall for him. Lockie Bloxham on a personal best first sector. He seemed the most likely to challenge Carl back in Alabama, but right now he's still got to get by Riley Giacomazzi.
It was really fun to watch him battle it out back there at Barber, because it was Lockie that kind of had a little bit of track position, I believe, and it was really them just kind of duking it out, but Carl Stout evidently came out the victor back there, the 243, and he has continued on with that momentum. But I'm a firm believer that if you're going to go and try to upset the boat of the fastest car and fastest driver, you got to do it in a racing situation. Sure, in qualifying, it's nice to go out there and prove that lap time, but you got to be able to go out there and race it out, and Lockie certainly proved that he could.
246 was very deep. That's Bowden, our Masters pole sitter. Thankfully kept it out of the mud. I mean, it's not just that you're going to make the car look less nice, but it can do stuff to the splitter at the front, so you don't want to splash through that area. Stout, I think he has improved down to a 159. Giacomazzi goes to a 2-flat-7. Bloxham improves, but he stays in third.
And just like what we saw in some of the earlier qualifying sessions, I do believe that the track will continue to ramp up in terms of speed. The more race cars that we have running on it, it is going to pick up that water every single time a car drives over the racetrack. It pumps out the water from the tire. So the more cars that are running, and especially on the same type of wet racing line, the drier and faster it's going to be. And guess who just went purple in sector number 1? Carl Stout.
Also had another car shortcut turn 9 that we seem to have missed. Andy Child here for the first time this season. Currently sitting 4th in those Pro-Ams. Watching to wait and see where Carl Stout puts us, as we've got Bowden on our screen around the outside, riding the rim of the turn 6 section, and then coming down into the corner of turn 7. That was the 233 that we saw briefly just ahead of him. Right now, Lockie Bloxham, who still sits in that third position, but had a personal best first sector. Giacomazzi personal best in both of his sectors, but Carl Stout may have dropped off a little bit.
Now we're getting a little bit of a local yellow flag somewhere, I believe, maybe.
Oh, it was Chiachetti. I saw 249 going slow, but it looked like it was turn 3, I believe.
Gotcha. And I think you're spot on there, because we're already back going green flag racing, so maybe just a tiny little bit of an off and on as we're watching the 246 here, the fall line car. That is Mark Bowden completing this current lap, and the reason why we've got the cameras on him: green personal best sector 1, green personal best sector 2, as long as he can put together turn number 11 down here at the close end of the racetrack and accelerate towards the start finish line. He's looking to move up.
Our top 3 overall also have been improving. We'll talk about that in a second. Bowden goes to 4th overall. Great lap from him, down to a 2:03.6. But we've got 2 cars that are now under 2 minutes, Stout and Giacomazzi. Bloxham, despite going faster, he's been struggling to keep up with Riley. He's about 1.1 seconds off.
And in these tricky situations, you have to stay out there on the racetrack. You don't know if it's going to rain a little bit heavier and get slower, or you don't know if it's going to lighten up a little bit, have no rainfall, and it actually kind of gets a little bit faster out there. So I don't care if you're P1 or if you're P last, you need to be out on the racetrack because you're going to be learning something.
Down through 7 once again for Giacomazzi. His first sector, again, another personal best, but they've been chasing a moving goalpost, and Carl Stout, he continues to cut down and takes purple sectors every once in a while. Haven't seen him do like we saw at Barber a few times where he went purple for, what was it, something like 9 sectors consecutively?
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. It was just constant purple up on top of the board. But I think what's most impressive was actually sector number 2 from Riley. Was actually about a 10th and a half faster than Carl Stout, and he's gone green sector 1, sector 2, so he's going to be completing his lap here soon enough, maybe close that gap.
A little bit of a wide line. You can see the car spinning up. Look at it slide coming off of the turn 11 hairpin. He is pushing it as hard as he can, and it gets him within half a second now of Carl Stout. He's getting closer. I don't think Carl actually improved on that last lap. Let me double check that. No, he did not.
No, he did not. It was a 59.1 in comparison to his overall fastest right now, which is 58.8. So not too far off, right? Only by about a 10th and a half, maybe 2/10 of a second. And just as we were mentioning the awesome lap from Riley, you were wondering about that 2:33. Lockie Bloxham evidently found some speed. He's now P2 on the board.
Bowden goes faster yet still, 2:03, 2:23 for him. He's still being chased by Vitiello and McCaig, who sit second and third in the Masters, but they're split by Child and Hutter right now. So there's a nice little buffer for our 246 Masters leader.
They're doing a terrific job grabbing that provisional pole position in Masters so far, and it looks like Chris Hutter actually improved his lap time, moves himself up in front of that 2:02 of Child. So not a huge jump, but definitely an improvement in lap time. Oh, and Frank Vitiello, another Masters class car, improving their lap time, cutting it closer to Mark Bowden out front, and Carl Stout also purple sector 2.
Sean McCaig is also showing 2 personal bests, but I think he's still slower than Childs. Yeah, he goes faster, but it's remains in 8th overall at this stage. So we wait to see where Stout winds up as we check in with Lockie Bloxham here down through the S's.
And it doesn't look like Lockie's first sector is anything to jump up and down about. It's about 3 seconds off here on this current lap. So I don't think that Bloxham is going to be able to improve this time. Carl Stout did just cross the board and once again does not improve that lap time. Actually, I'm sorry, I take it back. He did improve. It was another 158.8. It was just narrowly quicker.
Wow. It's wild that he's finding hundredths of a second, thousandths of a second out here. And yeah, I agree. I don't think Bloxham is going to find a quicker lap. Let's see if this 59.4 drops. If it is, it's all down to this 3rd sector, and no, it does not. Saw a lot of wheel spin, honestly, coming out of the final chicane from the Australian. Does look like we're seeing potential improvement from Chris Hutter. Bowden, I think, also, yeah, cut it down now. He's into the 202s.
Right on board with the driver you were just mentioning of Chris Hutter here in the 281. So this turn 11, the very close end of the racetrack. There's hospitality over there to drivers left just outside of that racetrack area. Here's pit lane on our left side, and this not straight front straightaway leading us out to start a lap. And what I actually noticed there, Joe, so front straightaway has been a little bit tricky here in the first half of the day. Chris Hutter was actually out of the gas coming through that section. So that shows you how slippery it is.
Yeah, interesting. And he did go quicker down to a 202.5. In fact, he's almost managed to overtake Mark Bowden. Might not be for class, but that track position that he wants to get close to Giacomazzi and not be left behind. That windscreen, I think, needs a little Rain-X or something on it. It's a little bit streaky.
Well, and these are the changing conditions that I'm mentioning. When it's wet out and you have constant water on the windshield, it is no big deal. But when it starts to dry out, you deal with the same thing in a street car, right? At what point is it too dry for windshield wipers or too wet to not have them on?
Exactly. But been dealing with it well. 281 this time by. Does not improve first sector. Stays put where he is. Carl Stout has pitted in. Oh, Riley Giacomazzi has just set a purple third sector. He's got it down to 0.3 of a second now.
I don't agree with bringing Carl Stout in with 3 minutes remaining, Joe.
Especially with how close it's become. I mean, 0.3 in these conditions, you could definitely make that up.
And this is the brightest we've seen all morning, right? We do not have a cloud hanging out over the racetrack. Carl Stout brings it into his pit stall. The crew is in no rush to get to it. I think that they are calling it for their qualifying session.
249 is stopped over between 3 and 3A. We've got a yellow flag. Hopefully that car is able to get going here right at the end. We were kind of shaping up for a very fascinating finish to this first one. This is Chiacchetti, so the car is under its own power. Hopefully he's not stuck though, because that's something that can happen with so much moisture out there. The mud could see you sink and unable to get going, and he is able to carry on.
Yeah, I do see him at least rolling on the onboard camera right here, and then you see the overhead shot that he was able to carry on. But so going back to my point, I think this racetrack is getting faster. You know, this could be the opportunity for Riley Giacomazzi out there.
Frank Vitiello just took the pole away from Bowden in the Masters. He's got only 0.06 of a second between them. If Bowden thinks he's got something on one last flying lap, he could take it back. It takes the smallest of improvements for him to do that. But that, I was not expecting it with the gap that we saw between Frank and Mark before.
And I'm not sure, Joe, if you saw that shot on our screen, but it was a huge puddle on the outside of driver's right going in turn number 3. That could have been the culprit for why Chiacchetti spun it around. But, well, I think that Carl Stout just got a gift because Riley Giacomazzi just pulled it into pit lane. Now it is up to Bloxham, see if he can go out there and upset those top two.
About half a second that he's got to grab. Again, that's definitely doable. He should get to the line in time, but this lap definitely not looking fast. He'll get one shot at this.
And this is nervous moments if you're that driver of the 243, because obviously he was out there and said, hey, you know what, this is as fast as it goes right now. 58.8, 59.1. I mean, he was turning consistent times lap after lap after lap that were the fastest out there on the racetrack. However, we just don't know how much more it's going to change.
And Bowden's taking it back from Frank Vitiello. 3 personal best sectors. Frank has got 1. We got another yellow flag. That could interrupt the qualifying here for them. No, it looks like. I think that's beyond where Frank is. We've got it on screen now. So unless it's in the final turn, which
this is on the straightaway after the carousel. Car stopped perpendicular. And this is a little bit of a dangerous position for the car to be in. This is the 228
red flag.
And there's the red flag.
And that's before Frank can get to the line. He only had a personal bet. He just crossed now. He was about 10 seconds short of being able to complete that lap. If that would have done it, that has got to be frustrating as Bowden stole it back right at the end. And, of course, that interrupts Bloxham's attempt as well. And now the car is going.
I'm not surprised to see it get going once we're under red flag. That was just such a very nervous area for the car and the driver to be in. What I did like seeing, though, is it certainly seemed like it was clean, like it was just a big old spin at the end of the carousel.
Carl Stout, not just fast, but you could say maybe a bit lucky in a few ways as well. But confidence clearly allowing him to call it a little bit early, and your order sees Carl on the pole for the Pro-Ams. Riley Giacomazzi, not that far behind him. He'll start on the outside of that front row. Lockie Bloxham returns to try and see if he could get a first win in this series as well. He'll start from P3. Mark Bowden already took that first win. In fact, he's going to start from pole now in the Masters, as Frank Vitiello will be next to him in that 5th position, behind him, really. Chris Hutter is 6th overall, with Child starting from 7th. After that, it is Sean McCaig starting in 8th, Elaine Scalzo 9th. And actually, we should clarify, this is their positions in Group A. We have one more group to go. 10th goes to Dave Musial. Monte was 11th, Finnick 12th, and Chiacchetti was 13th. So our marker for drivers to aim for is a 58.8. And it's going to think I think going to be a very big test for those after. Now it's been dried up some for them, so they could find a slightly better track than those before. But yeah, I mean, Carl has been the measure of the field so far, so everybody's going to be looking at that and saying, yeah, here's the target. In fact, that's going to give us a chance to take a breather. Don't go away. We've got more action to come in the GT3 Cup qualifying at Sonoma.
When was the last time you drove your Porsche to watch some racing and you got to drive on the same racetrack? Welcome to the Porsche GT Track Day. Coaching from Porsche experts to go from recon laps to being let loose on track in your own car. VIP hospitality, paddock access, and more. Space is limited. Book now.
When we began racing, we started with a question. Can a dream become a legacy? Across endless nights, relentless rain, competition that never slows. Through every failure, every win, every single race, we've asked ourselves, can a dream become a legacy? And 75 years later, the answer is clear. Because we weren't built for racing, we were born for it.
Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway. We're here for qualifying in the GT3 Cup for the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America by Yokohama. This is going to be Group B. We've already had Group A. If you are just tuning in, Carl Stout has the fastest time right now. It is a 1:58.825. As for the Masters pole position, Mark Bowden has a 2:01.203. So watch out for those. We'll try and keep you up to speed. Now, Joey, we have noticed that the sun has been coming through in a couple places. How much do you think that's really going to affect things?
I think it could massively affect the times. Now, it is not going to dry out the racetrack all of a sudden. However, I mean, we've got, about 15 of these GT3 Cup cars that are going to be hitting the racetrack. So if we get sunshine and we get all the race cars out on the racetrack, I think towards the end of this qualifying session, we could see some time significantly drop.
Sometimes you get that luck of the draw, and I mean, these drivers are going to need it, if I'm honest. This is not to disparage their skill, but Carl Stout has been on another level, and they need something to give them the advantage. If they can have that track position at the start of the race, that could be critical. This place is known for track position being oh so important, Joey. So these qualifying sessions, yes, it could be raining, but it could also wind up giving an advantage as we see some of the lawnmowers that we have here.
Yeah, it looks like they might be migrating down the hill. But yeah, it was something that's fun here at Sonoma is that how they keep care of the grass here on the facility is that they got a whole bunch of sheep and goats that come and take care of it.
That's not hyperbole. That's not a joke. That's really what they do here. It's a staple that you'll see often. There you can see some of them are pretty close, honestly. That is just outside of Turn 6, inside, really.
I mean, they have some of the best spots on the racetrack to be able to watch some action.
I was kind of wondering if they need some ear protection. They're right close to those V6s, or flat 6s, not V6s. So we should hopefully be going very soon here, and I can tell you we've got the 1-minute warning up at the flag stand. There you can see being held at the end. Blake McGovern at the front of the line right now, going to be leading them out. Brandon Hankins comes back after he put some times in for the USA West qualifying earlier this afternoon. He's going to find what we think is going to be probably a little bit of a better track.
I think so. When he was out in that USA West session, we still had rainfall going down. Everything was happening, so it looks like we've got a green flag out there on the racetrack right now. So these cars starting to roll off of pit lane, and we'll just kind of see how everybody tiptoes their way through this first outlap and finally gets up to speed.
And great news that you can keep track of where everybody will slot in, as we will have all these cars according to the overall position. There you see on the left-hand side. So once you start to see times being put down, that will be ordered with those that have already set their laps. This is on board with Francisco de Jesus, up and over turn 2 himself. Had a pretty good run for Barber. Found himself with some decent results, both races, I believe, in that one from what I'm seeing, with him getting both a 13th and an 11th place finish back in Alabama.
As I was mentioning, I think that this outlap going to be pretty exploratory for a lot of these drivers. Now, they did have practice session a little bit earlier in the morning, but throughout these qualifying sessions that we've had now, we've had the Caymans on track, we've had the USA West Series on track, and then we've also had the Group A on track just before this session. I think that this is the driest. Now, granted, we are not outside, but it certainly seems that this is the driest it's been all morning.
We are a bit spoiled in that we get to hide away in the commentary booth for much of this weather. So, yeah, wow, the 240 going a little bit deep there, maybe just exploring on this outlet, like you said, figuring out what the grip is going to be like so that he can maybe hit it more accurately for the next time through.
And also, you got to get the tires up to temperature and pressures out there, and trust me, you're not going to get it done on the first outlap. With how cold the racetrack is, you don't have that typical friction with the tire that you can weave it back and forth and really generate that heat and that tire pressure. So I feel that it's probably going to be at least a couple laps before everybody is at full song.
And there's Blake going past the flag stand, starting that first flying lap. Well, let's see if they can do it on the first go, because, again, they don't have the experience that those drivers that were out there for numerous laps to try and go as quick as they are, but it should be drier, so hopefully it'll allow them up to speed pretty fast. Hankins just flashed by us as well as we continue to watch Blake McGovern back down through turns 4 and into 5.
This is still all downhill through this section of the racetrack, and coming up to what is turn number 6, the carousel. A very steep downhill. Not really a whole lot of banking built into it. There is just a little bit, but it's more driving the car down the hill, and then it really grips up right down here. But when it's wet, you have to be very, very careful about that change of pavement going from the carousel onto the drag strip.
Up into that drag strip hairpin. Didn't go as far wide as we were seeing Carl Stout going, interestingly. He seemed to repeatedly want to go all the way out past what kind of the painted line is. They are allowed to do that, mind you. But he did it so many times, I kind of assumed that was giving him some kind of advantage.
And here's the thing. It is up to the driver to find out where that grip is. And now on a racing line, it's going to be the shortest distance around, talking about turn 7 specifically, right? You're going to want to get the car stopped, get it around turn number 7, and get out of there. However, if turn number 7 is just crazy slippery in the wet and you just can't get any sort of grip between the front end or the back end, is it better to just blow the brake zone, go to where there's actually is grip out there, and make the corner 20 yards further, but you actually have some momentum carrying your way through it?
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what I wondered, is you straight line the exit a bit more, easier to get that throttle down potentially too. So
100%.
As we saw McGovern go across the line, and where did he wind up actually? He's 6th overall, so not too shabby for his first go, a 2:02.2. That's about what we saw in the first laps for, I think, the previous session for the quickest drivers.
You're right, and I think that kind of bodes very, very well for this Group B qualifying. There's going to be a lot of drivers that are turning some of their fastest laps of the sessions, or I should say of the day, including Brandon Hankins, who just went faster than Blake McGovern, a 2:02.0. Looks like we've got maybe a little bit of an issue down there at turn number 6 area. But don't see anything. Oh, there is a car off in the carousel.
That's Ammon.
Far driver's right.
That's Dan Ammon. Now he's kept it out of the wall, it looks like. He's able to get it moving. So he'll get it going and head on back down the hill. So that shouldn't, thankfully, interrupt the entire session. They are in a bit of a limited schedule today, so if we red flag it, that doesn't stop the clock. It keeps going. Blake McGovern has been on a great bit of momentum himself. He took 2 third places at Barber, back-to-back podiums, and that boosted him to 2nd in the Pro-Am standings. So his consistency so far this year has been a great weapon.
We're riding on board with them right now here in this 240. Kelly Moss racing car here going through what is turn number 10 on the racetrack. Just kind of opened up the hands a little bit, but using all of the revs, almost 5th gear down there, and you see very gentle on that brakes, but he continues the brake pedal pressure at least for the first third of the corner, really trying to get the front end turned in. Let's see about the throttle through this section. And yeah, McGovern also lifting on the front straightaway here, so these drivers definitely very tentative of that grip level. He does improve the lap time.
We've been focusing so much on Blake. We had failed to mention before that lap, Hankins was actually faster than him on the first time around. It sounds like we may have actually mentioned it, but he's now going to try and respond to that as I believe he set a personal best 2nd sector.
Hankins is one of those drivers, like you were mentioning, already has a qualifying session under his belt, call it about 15 minutes ago or so in that USA West Series. But yeah, you're right. Hankins was able to throw that down, and then basically Blake McGovern was able to respond. And I mean, the lap times we're talking about here are just now finally starting to shave the tenths off of them. I think we finally found out how fast they really can go in these situations.
Now, Hankins improved on the last time by. No, he did not actually. 202.229. So he stays put in fifth in class, in the Pro-Am class. Blake McGovern currently fourth up there, and going to try and see if he can put himself a little bit closer to stout Giacomazzi and Bloxham, who he's been mixing it up with earlier on this season. Right now, of the Masters cars, it is still Bowden and Vitiello from the previous group who are our top two. And I think Caden Kelly is the one who is quickest so far in this group of the Masters, but he's all the way down in 14th. Compare that to Bowden's 5th place.
We got on our screens right here is Brandon Hankins, one of the drivers that we were talking about. I believe that's Todd Treffert in that black and blue car directly in front of him. So it might not be the outright fastest lap for Brandon Hankins. I actually think I just saw him maybe lift off the gas a little bit to try to get a little bit of a bigger gap between himself and that car directly in front. And I actually see maybe a corner in front of them. There's another 3-pack of cars trying to sort itself out. But the 295 of Brandon Hankins continuing on. A name that I was going to mention, Joe, that I think is going to be moving up as well is going to be Luke French, currently P10.
That's a good point. Yeah, Luke is over here in the North America Series, and he's got a personal best first sector right now. One car heading into pit lane already. That seems a little bit premature. We're not even halfway through this session.
And I think it was Brandon Hankins.
Oh, okay.
It was that white, red, and black car, the 295 of Brandon Hankins, pulling it into pit lane. Now, that's actually a very similar strategy to what he did in the USA West qualifying session. Went out there, turned a few laps, was happy with it, and then essentially parked the car.
Maybe didn't want to risk it any more than he needs to, kind of understands what he can get out of the car, but he only sits 6th in his class. Joel Johnson now has moved up into the top 3 of the Masters, and he is currently 10th overall. Now, Brandon Hankins is showing on an outlap, so maybe he's not satisfied.
And I was also noticing that Safronis has gone up inside the top 5 in the Pro-Am class, up into 5th place with a 2-minute .4. So that moves that 241 up into some nice track position to start this thing out here a little bit later this afternoon.
That is Jensen Safronis. If you're used to seeing James out there, his dad, Jensen, is going to be taking part in this session, and obviously quite quick. He's another very young driver, but definitely has been cutting his teeth each and every year. I know he's competed in some other single-make series previously to this, but jumping over now into the Porsche Sprint Challenge, obviously he's going to have his work cut out for him, but is meeting it with a great bit of skill. Saw at least one car just cut the chicane.
And I'm really curious, and I just was looking at it. McGovern just went to a 159.0. That's what I was talking about starting the session. I think it's going to be a lot faster than what we had in Group A.
Quarter of a second to go to get past Carl Stout for the overall pole. And you mentioned Carl could have kept going out there. How much more time would he have gotten? Will it eventually wind up being important? Could it cost him this pole position?
I think more importantly, the 243 is looking at it and it's like, how do I get into Group B qualifying instead?
As we watch the drivers come around for yet more laps here with less than 9 minutes to go. Just saw Musial Jr. in the 231. He had a bit of an accident in practice just before this qualifying session, so he's bounced back very well and put himself 9th into his class. 27 cars so far have set lap times right now.
And I think what's scary for the rest of the field and Carl Stout, Blake McGovern, sector number 1, purple, fastest of all. Oh, no!
That is Francisco de Jesus and the 721. Thankfully, the car is able to get going. I was going to say, McGovern, of all people right now, is praying that nobody has a red flag accident.
That's exactly what kind of came to my mind, is that if a car is stopped out there, oh my goodness, and tons of debris coming out of what was turn 7 going into turn 8. I think that's where that car had spun around, and there is an absolute ton of grass out there.
Interesting. Oh, and once again, Ammon struggling with the braking. Now he's got, I noticed this earlier, strange damage on the right-hand side of the car.
I wonder if that was from the carousel incident, and this is what I was talking about. So if we get a car coming through here, it looks like there's going to be coming one in about 5 seconds or so. They're going to have to drive pretty much exactly through this if they want it. And Joe, you just pointed something out.
Blake McGovern is our new pole sitter by 0.2 of a second. They are having to cut through that debris on the circuit. No doubt the yellow and red flag with stripes is being displayed, saying that it is a compromised surface out at that section. We stay green for now. Blake McGovern is your quickest. This will be the first driver, I think, to go faster than Stout in any of the qualifyings.
Luke French has picked it up as well. He moves inside the top 5, displaces Sofronis out of there. So the 275 of Luke French almost down to sub 2 minutes. But by the time that we actually get to the end of this qualifying session, I think the track's going to be even faster.
Credit to that first group. They still hold 3 of the top 4 positions right now, but Mark Bowden has been shuffled back to P2 in the Masters. Caden Kelly is now up to that top spot in the 208.
And that was a heck of a lap from Caden. Personal sector 1, personal best sector number 3, so was able to just piece everything together. No purple out there, so just a really good, consistent lap out of Caden Kelly. Blake McGovern just put down personal best sector number 2, and I see Brandon Hankins has also moved his way back up inside the top 5.
So now with less than 6 minutes to go, will there be yet more improvement? Will the drivers be able to surpass Stout? Giacomazzi blocks them. They're in second, third, and fourth. Blake McGovern comes by. I don't think he improved that time.
No, I do not believe he did either, but it was very, very close. A 58.67, his fastest a 58.62.
Continue to follow him over turn 2, down into 3 here, but the track is very clearly ramping up. Again, it's still pretty evenly dispersed through much of the field, but we have time left to go, so we're expecting this to continue to change. Jensen Sofronis, purple in the final sector. He just crossed the line and moves to 5th overall.
Goodness, what a fast lap time out of that 241. We are currently watching Blake McGovern on our screen. He is going down into what is the carousel section here at Sonoma. Now, sector number 1 was not purple. It was not green either, so maybe a little bit of time for this 240 to try to make up here in sector number 2 and to close out the lap.
Yeah, it's just in the S's, I believe, this second sector marker is for Blake McGovern. Car looks very composed for now, which is a good sign, nice and smooth. So we wait to see whether or not he can improve on this second sector. He'll cross the line just about now. And the first one with a 40.466, second one a 39.614. It's a personal best.
And I think I saw Caden Kelly just improve his lap time even more. So he already had the pole position, but Blake McGovern totally overshoots the turn 9 brake zone. And is pretty much going to put a halt to that lap time.
Brandon Hankins just improved his lap time. Oh, excuse me, no, he did not. It looks like a 2.7 last time around, and he's got a 159.8, but he remains in 6th. Luke French set a personal best first sector. Let's watch and see what he can do. Currently sitting 8th overall, but 7th in class, and Blake McGovern once again did not go quicker that time by.
I've got my eye on Sofronis in the 241. He is approaching turn number 11 right now, so he has got one more corner. And the reason why I say it, personal best sector number 1, personal best sector number 2. So can the 241 accelerate his way towards the line and improve that lap time even more? He currently sits in what is the top 5 in 5th place, and he moves himself up into 4th with a 159.1.
Yeah, he was 0.2 quicker than Blake McGovern's best second sector.
And Joe, 0.03 of a second separating himself and Riley.
Wow. So yeah, he could put himself ahead of Jacques Amazzi. Bloxham is now demoted down to 5th. Luke French just set his best lap. He's up to 6th in the Pro-Ams. It is constantly changing. You've got to be in it to win it, and you have to stay out on this drying track.
We've got our cameras focused on Sofronis here in the 241 car. This was the car that we noticed a little bit earlier with that right side mirror a little bit banged up. But hey, you know what? I'll take any sort of aero improved efficiency, whatever you can get out there.
Indeed. Whoa, that was quite a moment.
And I think the mirrors actually spun all the way around. It looks like an old 90s police car light out
It does kind of look like that. This is Jensen Sofronis. Apologies earlier, I referred to this as Dan Ammon. So he's hopped into the Mobil 1 car, and as he brings it around turn 7, clearly the compromised aerodynamics are not slowing him down.
Well, and what I really like seeing out of this driver is that the car is moving around, right? It's wiggling around, it's squirming for grip when he's trying to roll on the throttle. We'll see about the nose and the front end here in the brake section. Certainly seems like he got it slowed down very nice through turn number 9. So what I like seeing out of it, the driver comfortable in these situations.
Smooth as you like. I don't think this is going to be a quicker lap, but he'll have enough time for one more around as we're at less than 2 minutes to go. We started wondering who would get under 2 minutes. Right now we're up to 8 cars that have broken that barrier, and drivers have precious few opportunities left. Musial 2.0 has managed to move up into 8th recently. Edwin Jensen Sofronis' latest lap, that was good enough for the front row.
A 158.7 out of this car, and crucially he was able to get by before that checkered flag starts out. And oh my goodness, we have a response on the racetrack already. Blake McGovern, purple sector number 1.
Oh, he sees Sofronis coming. He knows he has got to pick it up. So Jensen could maybe steal this one away, depending on if he feels like there's more in it on this last flying lap for McGovern as well. He's not going to be able to get to the line in time to wrap this up. Kelly in the Masters is clearly looking like he is going to be our Masters pole sitter, because he's got 4 cars between himself and Treffert in P2 in that category.
And I'm just seeing a whole lot of green right now on the racetrack. Brandon Hankins, green sector 1, sector 2. Luke French, green sector 1. Blake McGovern, green sector 1, sector 2. Sofronis, purple sector number 1.
Sofronis is taking the fight to him. McGovern is looking fast, but he's going to need a very good end to the lap here. This is Sofronis that we see on screen right now. I saw McGovern go up towards turn 11, so he's just about done as the checkered flag comes out now. I'm watching to see as we wait for him to cross the line. There is that checkered flag. He should be entering into shot here shortly. There he is. He'll cross the line, and he gets to a 158.2, so he does improve. And we got a yellow flag somewhere. It's the 288 of Keith McGovern.
Yeah, that's not good, and hopefully Sofronis is able to complete this lap. He's already in sector number 3. We see the yellow flag for the car strucken out there in the tire barrier. Here comes the 264 across the line. That was Simon Neal completing that lap, and Blake McGovern does get displaced. Sofronis takes overall pole position, a 157.7.
Wow, half a second faster than him. And Luke French moves into 3rd from out of nowhere. What a great finish for him. Musial Jr. is up to 9th in his class with his latest lap. And Brandon Hankins.
Yeah, I don't think this is over, Joe. Caden Kelly just went green, green. Dave Musial Jr. just went green, green. And like you had just pointed out, Brandon Hankins is looking to close out a fast lap as well.
Ooh, I said that Kelly looked likely for the pole. Treffert managed to get within about half a second. He jumped up a huge chunk there and put himself directly behind him, next to him on that 5th row. Honestly, Caden Kelly, though, says, no, you don't. He goes up to 6th overall.
what a lap there from Caden Kelly. And the other car, Brandon Hankins, who I thought was on a flyer, has actually entered pit lane. So I think that's pretty much going to do it for our qualifying session.
Yeah, that is everybody having completed their laps. What a wild finish to this one. This was fascinating to watch. And Sofronis takes his first pole in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup. Blake McGovern will start next to him. Luke French will start in P3. Carl Stout, he is, let's see how far off pole he wound up.
1.1.
1.1 seconds. I don't know if he would have been able to make up that much, but yeah, it could have been a position or two if he had stayed out on track. He will start from 4th. Brandon Hankins, good enough for P5. Then you get our pole sitter for the Masters, Caden Kelly, Riley Giacomazzi, all the way down to 7th after that. He'll have some work to do. Same thing with Lockie Bloxham from 8th position. Matt Siegel will start from 9th. Todd Treffert rounds out your top 10, Joey.
Yeah, and then over into 11th is going to be Dave Musial Jr. Mark Bowden going to finish out in 12th with Joel Johnson here in 13th. Frank Vitiello, 14th. Dusek here at the nice top 15 finish. Chris Hutter in 16th. Child back here in 17th. Keith McGovern, the 288 with a little bit of trouble late in the session, 18th. Ammon 19th, and McCaig rounding out the top 20.
A bit of a surprise with Elaine Scalzo only 21st, Bill Finnick in 23rd, and Alessandro Chiacchetti 24th. And then it is Simon Neal who is starting from the 25th spot. Monte de Jesus, they are 26th and 27th, with Smith not starting in this session. We'll have our first bit of racing coming up soon. Now, the current results are going to be pending, we are hearing, because the track was so different between them. So there may be adjustments made to what you just heard us say and what you see on screen. So this is not official, but that is the order according to time right now. As for the racing coming up a little bit later today, the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Caymans will kick off at 2:35 p.m. here at Sonoma.